Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be giving you guys my Nighthold talent suggestion guide for Mythic and Heroic. Now I've tried to make this video like 4 times today and I only now just realized that it was failing and the recordings were getting corrupted because my hard drive was full from all my saved videos. So I fixed that now, so let's go ahead and get this done. Let's hop right into it. I want to say that I'm going to be talking about Mythic first for each boss, and then I'll be talking about Heroic. So for Score Up, I'll talk about Mythic, then Heroic, then Chronomatic, Mythic, and Heroic. I will go into some of the little details. It's not just going to be a very simple, like, go this, go this, go this. I'll talk briefly about why. So, Mythic Scorpion, you're going to get the most damage from this build. This is by far the highest build. This is the cheese, the padding build that people use on Mythic and Heroic. Yeah, you're just going to get the most damage on this with using this setup. Keep in mind that you're going to want to keep a Lightning Rod on the boss as much as possible, as to get them a good chunk of boss damage when you're cleaving down all the adds as well. So, Lightning Rod, very good. Definitely try to keep Lightning Rod up on the boss as much as possible. Same with Heroic. This is just going to net you the most damage. You can use Ascendance on both Mythic and Heroic, and I normally do actually, since the adds die so fast that I just go for the consistent boss damage just to get the boss dead as soon as possible. And yeah, I always do the same on Heroic, and it generally ends up fine. Like, my damage is still pretty high because you're just getting consistent boss damage, but you still get to chain lightning the adds, of course. It's just you're not getting all that extra cleave damage with a lightning rod. So lightning rod is definitely the top as a whole, though, especially on the logs, of course. So Chronomatic Anomaly on Mythic. This is actually the highest parsing build right here, Lightning Rod. However, it's not that far ahead of Ascendance. Lightning Rod, the main strengths of this on this fight are you have the little time guys that come out, the bigger adds every once in a while. When you kill them, the 4 little adds spawn. Essentially what you want to have happen is you want to have Lightning Rod on the boss right as they're spawning. And then you use your Stormkeeper, and you just blow everything the fuck up and get a shitload of cleave damage with Lightning Rod onto the boss. That's how you parse in this fight. And the more static overloads you get, aka the luckier you are, the more RNG you have in your favor, the higher damage you will do. And that's pretty much what the highest parses are, is there is a lot of RNG involved. So this is a little RNG based, but is technically the highest parsing spec on Mythic. However, Ascendance is totally fine in this fight. It's really not that far behind Lightning Rod, and on average you'll do about the same damage with Ascendance as you will with Lightning Rod, unless you get really lucky, in which Lightning Rod will pull slightly ahead. So this is what I would recommend. This is what I use, just because if you already like Ascendance, you can just rock Ascendance. On Heroic, however, I don't think Lightning Rod is as good. The kill time on Heroic is much faster than on Mythic, and that really lets Ascendance shine, especially because pretty much on Heroic, my guild, we kill it in about 1 minute and 45 seconds, I believe, something right around there. It's under 2 minutes. So Ascendance is pretty good on this because you get the speed boost, the haste boost part of this, you get your Ascendance in, everything's good, and you just kill the boss really fast. You barely have time to pad with Lightning Rod. Like, on Heroic, the 4 ad set dies in like 3 seconds tops or something. Everyone uses their shit and it dies, so Lightning Rod is really not that valuable in Heroic. So for Heroic, probably just go Ascendance unless you're progressing on this fight, which Lightning Rod will give you more damage overall. As the ads are going to live longer, you might get more ad sets. And that's the same with Mythic. If you're progressing, Lightning Rod will probably be better, just due to the fact that you'll be able to get more use out of it due to it being a longer fight since it's not on farm. Trilliax on Mythic. Most of the top parses are Ascendance, however this is one of Ice Fury's better fights. There is a lot of movement, you can totally use Ice Fury. However, I like Ascendance on this fight. Elemental Shaman is the worst spec on this fight. According to Warcraft logs, it's the worst out of any other spec in the game. But that's probably due to a lot of movement and people not knowing how to properly do Trilliax. What I recommend if you're playing Ascendance is your opener, you need to use Stormkeeper right before you use your Ascendance. So do your normal opener, except instead of popping Ascendance, just do your Stormkeeper first after you do your normal thing. So like precast Fire LE, precast Elemental Blast, Flame Shock as soon as you enter combat, 2 Lava Bursts, then use Stormkeeper, then use Flame Shock, then use the 3 lightning bolts from your Stormkeeper, then go into Ascendance. What this does is it's going to increase, well, it could increase your DPS, especially if you get a Power the Maelstrom proc, but it's going to ensure that your Stormkeeper is coming off cooldown right as the Annihilation Beam starts, which lets you get 3 of your instant cast lightning bolts while you have to move for Annihilation. So it makes that phase way less of a pain in the ass for you. But if you use it after Ascendance like you normally would, then it's not going to be up for that, and then you're going to be doing next to nothing while you're moving. Try not to die to the Annihilation Beam. So this is also good, Path of Flame and the Ascendance for Mythic, because the ad that comes out, the Trilliax's Imprint, you can game Path of Flame on that, which will let you get a high duration Flame Shock on both of them, and on Trilliax to where you won't need to refresh Flame Shock for the next couple minutes of the fight. If you are not sure what I mean by gaming Path of Flame, you're going to want to do this on a couple of these boss fights here. Trilliax is one of them that works well on. I have a video on my channel from about a month ago called Gaming Path of Flame, and it talks about how you game Path of Flame, how you spread it and make the most benefit out of it, and get really high duration Flame Shocks that are going to save you a lot of global cooldowns and stuff like that on some of these bosses, and just let you focus on your actual rotation without needing to keep Flame Shock up on multiple targets. So again, on Mythic, I would recommend Ascendance. That's what most of the parses are. And just keep in mind that you have to use Stormkeeper before your Ascendance. On Heroic, it's pretty much the same thing. You can use Ice for your Ascendance. Most people use Ascendance. That's due to the kill time. Usually the kill time is about 3 to 4 minutes. You get 2 uses of Ascendance out of it. So on Mythic Spellblade Allurio, you can use Ascendance on this fight. It's really not that good. It gives you consistent boss damage. If your guys' ad damage is really strong, then you can probably use Ascendance and get more boss damage in otherwise. If you do, you need to do the same thing like Trilliax. You need to make sure you use Stormkeeper before Ascendance so that Stormkeeper comes up pretty much right as the ads are spawning, and ads spawn pretty much almost exactly every minute. So it lets your Stormkeeper come off cooldown. It's perfect ad timing for us on this fight. So generally what you're going to want to use though is a Lightning Rod build. And you're going to want to keep Lightning Rod on the boss and have Lightning Rod on the boss as soon as the ads come out, every ad set. And then chain Lightning down all the ads with your cooldowns, aka your Liquid Magma Totem and Stormkeeper. So this fight is going to, it's by far, Lightning Rod is the best for total damage. Just keep in mind that you really want to keep Lightning Rod on the boss, get as much boss damage as possible, because with Lightning Rod specs, our boss damage is generally not that great. However, some of these fights on Mythic, especially during progression, you need as much boss damage as possible. So keep Lightning Rod up on the boss, that's the big thing. And then try to get Lightning Rod up on 1 or 2 of the ads as well, but do not let it drop from the boss. It's the most important Lightning Rod. On Heroic, it's pretty much the same thing. Ascendance is a little better just because the ads die pretty damn fast on Heroic, but you'll likely get better parses with Lightning Rod. Mythic Tichondrius. So, here's the thing. On my kill video of Mythic Tichondrius, it was actually my second kill on the fight, and I used this build. On my first kill, I used the Lightning Rod. However, I completely just screwed up and I forgot to save. I just forgot to save the footage I had, so I lost it. I did not have my first kill footage. I used this Lightning Rod spec. However, I was talking to Neasom the other day, and he was telling me that he actually tried using Ascendance on this fight, and during the last phase, after the second bat phase, that Ascendance was actually giving you really solid, consistent boss DPS due to the fact that pretty much all strats have the ads ignored in the last phase, all the little bloods, so they just sit on top of the boss. So what you do is, with Ascendance and Path of Flame, is you have your Flame Shock spread to all those little ads, and you're just getting like near permanent Lava Surge procs due to having 6 or 7 Flame Shocks ticking. You're pretty much always getting Lava Surge, and you just pretty much always spam Lava Burst on Tichondrius during that last phase. However, this spec will come nowhere close to the amount of total damage on the logs that Lightning Rod gives you. But it does give you really solid last phase boss DPS. The thing with Lightning Rod is, during the last phase, you pretty much only spam Chain Lightning on the boss, and you keep Lightning Rod up on the boss. If you're spamming Chain Lightning on one target on the boss with about a 1 second cast time, depending, 1.71 normally, but with Lust and different buffs, it's faster. You're pretty much always going to have Lightning Rod up on the boss. However, it is subject to RNG. On my first kill, I was using Lightning Rod, and pretty much in all of Phase 3, where you want as much boss damage as possible, where you keep Lightning Rod on the boss and you just chain lightning and cleave the adds and get a lot of boss damage, I had about a 50% uptime on Lightning Rod. Incredibly low. 10-second duration, spamming on this one target the entire last phase for almost like 2 minutes, and 50% uptime. It was horrible RNG. My damage was suffered greatly from it. My boss damage was really low during that last phase, and boss damage is very important in the last phase since you're ignoring adds. So I was pretty much useless in that last phase because I did not get any Lightning Rod procs consistently, at least. So Lightning Rod again is by far the highest parsing spec, by far. I mean, so go ahead and use Lightning Rod in this fight. It's probably the best. However, there is a small argument to be made for Ascendance and Path of Flame because it gives you consistent boss DPS throughout and is not reliant on RNG from Lightning Rod and static overloads. But just go for this build for the most part. On Heroic, I actually don't think Lightning Rod is that good on Heroic. I think that the adds generally die very fast these days. Unless you're progressing through and you just can't kill the adds while they're under the boss, they out heal you, then Lightning Rod is fine, but I actually feel that Ascendance is a better spec for this fight on Heroic, because you can either Lust on pull and have Ascendance then, or you Lust after the first bat phase with the damage boost orb, and Ascendance also comes off of cooldown a few seconds after that, so you get benefit with Ascendance, with the orb, and with Lust, regardless of how you decide to do the fight. Again, up to you. Depends on how your group is doing, but I prefer Ascendance on Heroic. Alright, Mythic Croesus. This is one of Ice Fury's better fights, and the problem with Ice Fury on this fight is that if you're not standing pretty much in melee range, the travel time of your spells to hit the boss is longer, like double than what it is for other bosses. So like your Lava Burst, what you normally do is you Lava Burst, and you know it takes maybe about a second to hit the boss normally on normal bosses. It can take like 2 seconds on Croesus to hit the boss. So it really screws up your order and how you perform your rotation when you're expecting things like Elemental Focus to like buff your Flame Shock after. It's like, oh, you use Lava Burst, and then you use this like other thing, and then you use Flame Shock, and you know you're always going to have Elemental Focus. Well, guess what? On this boss, if you're not standing really close, the travel time takes forever and it screws up the rotation. Which is why Ice Fury can not be played super optimally on this fight without changing the rotation, because you want to make sure that your empowered Frost Shocks are buffed with Elemental Focus, but since you can't consistently get it with Lava Burst and the travel time, it really kind of screws up the order at which you want to do things. So Neasam was also, when I was talking to him, he mentioned that even though he loves Ice Fury, and he did play Ice Fury on this fight, that it's just too annoying to play at the top level, so he actually swapped to Ascendance. I think Ascendance is the spec to go for this fight on Mythic. Pretty much all the top parses are Ascendance. There's a couple Ice Fury in, and there's like a couple Lightning Rod. Lightning Rod, that's really only a cheese thing, where you have Lightning Rod on the boss when the ads spawn, you have all the ads spawn up front, you use Stormkeeper, and you chain lightning down the ads and get lucky static overload procs. I would not recommend using Lightning Rod. The only reason there's a couple up there is because of insanely good RNG and people specifically trying to cheese it. So Ascendance, I'd go with Ascendance for this fight. Keep in mind that if you really want to be high in the logs, if your strat allows it, you really need to be able to use Stormkeeper and chain lightning down the ads in the front right next to Croesus and hitting Croesus himself. That's the way you're going to parse high in this fight. If your strat doesn't allow that, then don't do it. Just know that Ascendance is likely going to be your best boss DPS, and you should roll with that. On Heroic, again, Ice Fury is pretty decent, but it suffers from the same problems. Probably just go Ascendance. Most people just go Ascendance. So, High Botanist. Now, High Botanist is a council fight. It is a fight on Mythic where all 3 of the dudes are up. I don't know why it shows 4 here. There's only 3, but it's a fight where all 4 of the bosses spawn and are up from the start on Mythic. However, boss health is not shared on Mythic. That means that when one boss dies, the other bosses return to full health. So, and keep in mind that also on Mythic, any damage you do to the boss that is not being killed first and second is completely invalidated on the logs. So there's no point in trying to cheese damage, or pretty much any extra damage you do on the extra bosses that you're not targeting down does not count on logs. Which also means Lightning Rod sucks ass in this fight. For Mythic, do not use Lightning Rod in this fight. Completely bad idea. Use Ascendance. The fight's about 8 minutes long for progression kill, maybe a little less. So you'll have Ascendance for the first guy at the pole, you'll have him up for the second guy, and then you'll have it for the burn phase in the last on the third ad, or in the third boss. Keep in mind, Path of Flame, this is the best fight to game Path of Flame with. On the first like 30 to 45 seconds, you can see in my kill video that I am pretty much alternating targets, getting Path of Flame up to about a 10-minute duration, and then just focusing down the priority boss target. So, again, do Ascendance on this one. Lightning Rod is no bueno. Does not work that way. However, on Heroic, you can definitely go Ascendance, but on Heroic, when the bosses spawn at 75% and 50%, the bosses share HP. They do share HP. So that means that you can use Lightning Rod on Heroic and keep pretty much once 50% comes around and Lust goes out, you pretty much just try to keep Lightning Rod up on all the bosses and just chain lightning spam. It's by far going to be the highest damage you can do overall. And it'll be your highest parsing spec on Heroic. But on Mythic, you have to use Ascendance and Path of Flame. It's just too good not to use. So, Mythic Star Augur. This is the fight that I am currently on. I've actually not even pulled it yet, technically. But we are now on this fight. We just killed our 7th boss. We're going to go to this. And this is also one of Ice Fury's best fights. So you can totally use Ice Fury if you'd like. However, the mechanics on Mythic Star Augur are very unforgiving, as in if you screw it up, like even one small thing, you instantly just wipe. You blow up the entire raid with the abilities. I don't know what it's called, but the little markers over your head. You just really need to focus on the mechanics and not worry about your rotation. So unless you really have the rotation down, then I would recommend Ascendance for this fight. This is what most of the parses are. There's only a few Ice Fury parses in this fight. However, there's only like 40 logs available for Mythic Star Augur for Elemental Shamans, but most of them are Ascendants. However, Ice Fury, again, totally fine. There is a decent chunk of movement for this fight, so Ice Fury definitely helps. However, having Ascendance for, again, it's like an 8-minute fight, so having Ascendance for each of the important phases in this fight is very nice to help you get through those phases. On Heroic, you just go Ascendance or Ice Fury. Pretty much, again, all the top parses are Ascendance, although it's a good fight for Ice Fury. Grand Magistrix Elisande on Mythic. Probably just Ascendance. I haven't really done that much research, but it makes sense to use Ascendance on this fight. Don't use Lightning Rod, and although there is a decent chunk of movement on this fight, I don't think Ice Fury is very good, specifically because Ascendance you can line up with the pink bubble, the DPS and like haste increase. Line that up with Ascendance is essentially like stacking cooldown. The pink bubble is pretty much like a Bloodlust, is what it is. So stack it with Ascendance, and you're gonna get the most value out of it. On Heroic, probably the same thing. Probably just run Ascendance will be likely the best. I think that's what all the top parses are. And again, try to stack your Ascendance with your pink bubble as much as possible without losing an overall usage of Ascendance in the fight. So, gul'dan on Mythic. I really haven't done my research on this. I'm going to be completely honest. There's one public parse currently as of me making this video for Mythic gul'dan, and it's not a very impressive parse. It was like, I think, barely 600k. But I think Ascendance would be the go-to spec for this, just due to needing to burst down some priority targets and things like that Ascendance could be very valuable in. Lightning Rod could have uses. There are some ads and stuff. It's really tough to say. Ice Fury, I don't think Ice Fury is that useful in this fight. Ascendance can be really good because you can line it up with the extra action button on this fight in certain situations that can cause your Ascendance, again, it's like stacking cooldowns together, just gives you some really solid burst damage. On Heroic, again, probably run Ascendance. You can really run whatever you want, but I feel that Ascendance is the best on this fight. There are great burst windows for you to use it, and you can also line it up with the extra action button to get extra benefit. So, real quickly, I'm just going to go over each one again, just take a couple seconds per. Little overview of what the best is. And this is going to be purely for Mythic, so Scorpion, Mythic, probably just run Lightning Rod. Chronomatic, technically the highest parse is Lightning Rod, although Ascendance is very close. Trilliax, probably Ascendance. Ice Fury is also very good in this fight. Spellblade Alluriel, you need to run Lightning Rod in this fight for the most part. Tichondrius, really want to run Lightning Rod. Crosis, probably use Ascendance, although Ice Fury is still pretty good. High Botanist, use Ascendance. Star Augur, use Ascendance, but Ice Fury is also very good in this fight. Grand Magistrix, probably Ascendance, and Gul'dan, probably Ascendance as well. So, that's all I have for this video. My voice is going out because I've been talking for like an hour and a half straight trying to make this video over and over. So I'm happy that this is finally the one that gets to go out. So thanks for the suggestion. I'm sorry I didn't make this sooner. Upcoming videos are going to be High Botanist commentary guide and Tichondrius commentary guide are going to be coming out soon. And I'm also going to be trying to stream a little more. I was trying to stream my High Botanist progression last night, but I was having some issues. I'll try to stream more for you guys. I do get a lot of requests to stream, but it is a little, I don't know, it's a little demoralizing to stream for like, 5 viewers consistently. So it is a little, it's like, oh man, only 5 viewers, So it's not very motivating to do it, but I do get a lot of requests, so I really will try to start streaming more for you guys. So sorry, that's completely unrelated to this video. Just wanted to mention that real fast for those that are still here. But thanks again for watching. Thanks for the awesome suggestion to do this. I hope this helps you guys, and I will talk to you guys in my next video or on my stream. Thanks a lot for watching.